this video I'm showing you how you can utilize the Leasing Automation Platform REST API to enhance your ERP software, CRM software or similar to use our APIs. To get started, I recommend you go to leasingautomation.de/docs and find the introductory steps here. And getting started, you see a detailed data flow diagram that shows you what kind of actions you can take at which stage of your leasing offer lifecycle. So you can also find other parts of documentation there, and if you go to our Swagger API under dev-api.leasingautomation.de/docs, you can find all the endpoints you can see and use. So with your API key, you can use a slug of a leasing provider like Jobrad and a unique identifier like an email address, in this case a test email address, to execute certain actions against our API, in this case validating if a user is valid for a certain leasing provider. So by executing this request, you see that this test user in this case is valid for this leasing provider. We can go a step further and use the leasing conditions endpoint, where I also entered the data already to find out what the leasing conditions of this certain user is. So you see here when executing this query what the price range is, what type of bikes the user can use, and what type of accessories the user is allowed to use. The next endpoint, which is the main endpoint, you can create leasing offers via our API without having to enter everything manually to the leasing provider. While developing, you can use the dry run option and set it to true to have like a very quick response. In this case, we just use the data that is already in there and execute, and the API will tell us if the data is valid or not. Now we will send a real leasing offer to the leasing provider. We just use those data that is already input there, but you can use obviously whatever you have in your ERP for your customer at that point. So now we created our leasing offer, and what we get back is a unique number that is unique to the leasing provider. You can save that in your system and use that number later to check the status of the offer you just created. This is possible via this endpoint, the status endpoint. You can use several comma-separated leasing provider numbers to check for several different offer statuses, like review by customer, ready to ship, or whatever. Another endpoint that can be used in the workshop is the endpoint for the service information. There you can enter customers' data and also the leasing provider you want to request for, and check for a certain customer what kind of leasing conditions they have, like where the leasing started, when it started, what kind of service packages they have, and what kind of insurance they have, to make sure you only do those things on the bike that are really covered by the insurance or by the service packages, or your customers can know what they have to pay privately and what not. So this is a great way to enhance your workshop workflows. And at last, we have those configuration endpoints here at the end that help you implementing our API, that give you information about what kind of accessory types we use as enumerations, what bike brands or bike categories or drive manufacturers you can use. You can also check for your API key what kind of leasing providers are registered with the API key and what kind of capabilities they have. So to get an API key, you go to our website again, go on contact and just send us a message, and we will get back to you and we will discuss with you how to integrate our API with your systems.